The sky was drowning in dark clouds, and rain hammered Sammy's windshield like thousands of tiny fists. He narrowed his eyes, leaning forward to see the winding road ahead. His phone had been dead for over an hour, and the GPS had frozen before that. He was completely lost. He checked the fuel gauge, almost empty. Perfect, he muttered, tapping the wheel in frustration. The road was narrow, surrounded by endless forests. No signs, no lights, just trees. Watching. Then, like a ghost in the mist, a neon sign appeared through the fog. White with red vacancy, it blinked weakly, casting an eerie red glow on the rain-slick road. The building beneath. It was an old two-story motel. The walls were painted white, but odd red stains marked the corners, like rust. Or blood. Sami hesitated. Every horror movie he'd ever seen screamed, "Don't go in." But what choice did he have? He pulled into the gravel lot. The car sputtered and died the moment he parked. The front desk bell echoed through the dusty lobby. A moment later, an old woman emerged from the back room. Her hair was white, her eyes dull, her skin paper-thin. "You're lucky," she said, voice dry as sand. Only one room left. She slid him a key without asking for ID or payment. The metal tag read room 13. Sami forced a smile. Unlucky number. She looked up slowly, her lips curling into something that wasn't quite a smile. Depends who you ask. He took the key and walked toward the stairs. As he turned the corner, he could have sworn he saw something shift in the lobby mirror, a tall, red figure standing behind him. When he looked back, the lobby was empty, and the mirror was cracked. Sami locked the door behind him, threw his wet jacket on the chair, and dropped onto bed with a heavy sigh. The room was old, barely lit by a flickering ceiling bulb. The walls were yellowed with age, and the faded wallpaper peeled at the corners. On the nightstand sat a dusty alarm clock, its hands frozen at 3:07 a.m. Weird. The heater groaned in the corner, but the room still felt cold, unnaturally cold, like someone was breathing just behind his neck. Sami shook it off. He was tired, not scared. Not yet, but as the minutes ticked by, sleep wouldn't come. Then tap, tap, tap. He sat up. The sound was soft, coming from the wall behind the bed. At first, he thought it was the pipes, until he heard a whisper. "Don't sleep here. Leave, before it sees you." Sami's skin crawled. He leaned in, pressing his ear to the wall. "Hello." Silence. He knocked once, knock, knock, and waited. Suddenly, 3 sharp knocks came back. From the closet, his breath caught in his throat. He turned slowly toward the closet door. It was shut. Nothing moved. He picked up the bedside lamp and tiptoed forward, heart pounding, hands shaking. He reached for the handle and swung the door open. Nothing. Just darkness. He exhaled, shoulders dropping. But then, he saw it. On the back wall of the closet, lit by the weak lamp, were 5 red handprints, like someone had pressed bloody fingers against the wall from the inside. Each one pointed down, toward the floorboards. Morning came, but the sunlight never did. Gray skies still hung heavy, and the rain hadn't stopped. Sami stood in front of the closet, staring at the dried red handprints. He touched them. They were cold and slightly sticky, as if the blood had never fully dried. "This place is messed up," he muttered, grabbing his bag. He had no intention of spending another night here, but when he got to the lobby, it was empty. No receptionist, no guests. Even the front door was locked. From the inside, he banged on the glass. "Hey, anybody here?" No answer, just a hum of silence. Then, out of the corner of his eye, he noticed a hallway labeled "Staff Only." The door was slightly ajar. He pushed it open. Inside was a long, narrow corridor with cracked tile floors and buzzing lights. At the end was a small storage room. Inside were shelves filled with old guest records and dozens of photographs pinned to the wall. He stepped closer. Each photo showed someone standing in front of the motel sign. Some were smiling. Some looked tired. But every photo had one thing in common: a faint, blurry red shape behind the person, tall, distorted, and watching. And then Sami saw it. His own photo, taken from behind, standing in front of his car last night. But in his photo, The red shape wasn't blurry. It was clear. A tall figure, completely red, with no face, just black holes where eyes should be. One long hand rested on Sammy's shoulder. Sammy's legs weakened. Suddenly, screams. Dozens of them, coming from all around him, muffled through walls, floors, ceilings. Men, women, children, all screaming at once. He turned to run, but the lights above him shattered, one by one. Piopi, piopi, piopi. In total darkness now, the final scream echoed closest, just behind him. Sammy didn't remember running. His legs seemed to move on their own. He stumbled to the dark hallway, heart racing, ears ringing with echoes of the screams. The storage room was gone behind him, replaced by a staircase leading down. He didn't want to go down, but something pulled him, a whisper in his mind. Downstairs. Find the truth. Each step creaked under his weight. The air grew colder, thicker, almost impossible to breathe. The walls became redder the lower he went, not painted, but stained, as if the building itself was bleeding. At the bottom, there was only one door. It glowed faintly red, pulsing like a heartbeat. Sammy reached for the knob, hand trembling. The door opened before he touched it. Inside was a large room, empty, except for a full-length mirror standing in the center. The walls were bare. The floor was damp. The air buzzed with static. Sammy stepped toward the mirror. At first, he saw only his reflection, pale, wide-eyed, scared. But then it changed. His reflection smiled at him. But Sammy wasn't smiling. The reflection moved on its own, raising a bloody hand, dragging a finger across its throat, leaving a red streak on the glass. Sammy staggered back in horror. Then the reflection spoke. You chose white with red. Now you belong to it. Cracked, and blood began to pour from the fractures like a waterfall. Sammy screamed and turned to run, but the red door had vanished. He was trapped. The blood reached his shoes, then his knees. It wasn't warm. It was ice cold, like death. From the mirror, the reflection stepped forward, pressing against the glass, trying to push through. And then it grinned wider. Let me in. Sammy screamed as the blood rose to his chest, thick and heavy like a flood of shadows. The reflection in the mirror slammed its hands against the glass again and again, cracks spreading like spiderwebs. Then shatter. The mirror exploded outward, but nothing fell. No glass, no blood, no reflection. Just silence. The room was empty. Sammy blinked, and suddenly he was back in bed. Room 13. Dry. Clean. No blood. No broken mirror. He sat up in confusion, chest heaving. Was it a dream? He rushed to the closet. No handprints. He opened the door to the hallway. Everything looked normal. Too normal. Cautiously, he walked back to the front desk. The lobby was bright, and the old receptionist sat behind the counter, smiling politely. Good morning, she said. Sammy stared at her. What happened last night? She tilted her head. I'm sorry. The basement. The mirror. The red room. My reflection. She cut him off with a strange smile. You must be confused, sir. You just arrived. What? No, I was here last night. Room 13. Her eyes narrowed. There's no room 13. Sammy turned toward the wall behind her. Hundreds of photographs lined it now, wall to wall, and in every single one, he was there, sometimes smiling, sometimes screaming, sometimes standing next to the red figure. He backed away slowly, heart pounding, until he hit the glass entrance door. It didn't open. He yanked the handle again. Nothing. The receptionist stood. No one leaves white with red, she said softly. Behind her, the red figure appeared in the mirror. It waved. Sammy screamed.